I will turn this off by now.
Thank you.
Yes. So my first question, maybe Domingo, you can answer, is about addressing your team's stress and anxiety. Because when everything is going well, this is a paradise. Everyone is working with new technologies, but when things are going worse than expected, teams can get nervous. Then maybe lack of clarity. They don't know what is happening. Maybe nothing is happening here, but they see the water that is traveling in other places, other companies, from friends, from Twitter. So how did you address that?
That's one of the topics that I will share also later. But I think, and it's a buzzword, but I think communication is key. I mean, you need to make sure that you are transparent with your team, that you share all the information as soon as possible to reduce this anxiety. You know what is happening. Or I heard some rumors. You need to avoid that. So the idea is to increase the points of contact. Try to do more all hands with all the team, more direct meetings with all the teams, because at the end, apart from this situation of uncertainty and stress and anxiety, we have also the remote situation that stays since maybe 3 years. So people is not in the same location anymore. Not all the team is at the same location. So you need to add to that, no, this level of I don't know what's going to happen. So I will share key thing is in increase communication, increase transparency, make sure that everyone is aware of everything as soon as possible, and reinforce the message that uh, how the company is going, what we are going to do, and also another thing, it's if it has the level of stress because we maybe have a reduction on budget, on people, then we need to also be open. Okay, then we need to rethink our strategy, what we can do, what we cannot do, and we need to be also very open in both directions, top down, bottom up, no, to make sure that everyone is aware of the new situation, and we are not asking more than what we can achieve. So
Good. So I was pointing some key takeaways here from others, and it was about clear, effective communication, one side, being transparent and clear on the impact that the changes will have, and finally setting the plan ahead. So they have clarity, they have peace of mind, what is going to happen, they have expectations, right? Later on, you need to live on the expectations, but these are the three key topics I was bringing, and I think you nailed it. I think you went over all of them. So, Stefan, how did you address your own anxiety, stress as a leader in tech?
I put on my video. No. No, I try to protect them, and we have to be transparent. It's true. We have to share with them the information, not to stress them, but the good information. You have to select the information and before. And another thing, we have to use the leader we have in the team, because sometimes the CTO and the CTPO share the information, but between the CTPO and the developer, we lose some information. And this is why we have to reinforce the message every often as possible, because the developer, you're right, is in remote. And I've seen some developer very far of the office and has some few information, not real information, some rumor, and we have to cut this as soon as possible. This is why we have to do this. And in my part, when I told you before, I'm more as the older of the team now, and I live different crises in the past, the crisis of 2000, the crisis of 2008, and we have to, like leaders, we have to manage this, because you know it's a cycle, and we know we have to prepare the future. We have to live during the crisis, maybe reduce the team, adapt the organization, adapt the process, and sometimes adapt the platform because we want to do something different, but not to lose the foundation of our value in the tech. And we have to prepare the future after. This is why always we have to do a trade-off between the short-term situation and the long-term situation.
Good. Thank you. I would have another question, and this is more about the impact of layoffs. You mentioned like short term, long term. Sometimes the main impact is in the short term because we have like short term memory. We forget very fast, even if the biggest disasters. But you cannot overlook what happens in the short term, because you can have like a leak of talent following the layoffs. It's like you are not laying off and they are leaving the company. And here I am bringing, I'm sorry, Pau, I will bother you again. Uh, so this is a quick image thanks to Culturamp research. Impact of layoffs on employee engagement, and the three biggest topics are the future commitment, present commitment, and recommending the company, with motivation and pride also affected. So how do you make sure that the employees keep engaged, the ones that keep in the company keeps engaged, and they are doing the best work they can even in these uncertain times? Maybe Paul, you can start.
I mean, luckily I didn't have to do layoffs. So I don't know if I'm the most appropriate to answer. I would say though, and I think I would relate it to the previous questions. The times are uncertain and things sometimes are not as easy. And I think as leaders, sometimes we tend to take in ourselves and we try to protect because we want the morale to be good. But I do think sometimes you have to shake the box a little bit, and if the world is shaking, you have to let people feel it, and that, like as he said, like you have to be very transparent and so on. But like mostly like not hiding things, and also like showing basically that things maybe are not going so well, and showing the numbers, showing the reasons, and building that empathy so they understand also the consequences. I haven't had to do layoffs luckily, but we did have to like cut a lot of budget, cut a lot of things that we said we want to do, and we basically kind of did preemptive layoffs. So basically, we tried to say like, hey, let's do this now, so we don't have to end up in this situation in the future. So we had to communicate very clearly. This is the situation right now. This is how the finance market looks like. This is our runway. This is our spending. So being extremely like controlling the narrative, like because if you leave any gap on the narrative you leave, people will fill it with their biggest fears. No? Like if there's something that you don't talk about, they will think, oh, they are evil. They are like trying to do this because whatever, like everybody kind of thinks suspiciously about management for good reason, because many companies did very wrong in the past. So I think we have bad reputation. I think controlling the narrative and being very transparent and showing, like, hey, we're doing this because otherwise that's what's happening on the market. You can see on the news. We don't want to be in that situation. So I cannot give the insight of layoffs, but in our case, it was like mostly it's a possibility. We are gonna reduce spending. We're gonna cut all of this. We're gonna stop doing all of that. And you buy this because the plan B how it looks like, and it doesn't look pretty. So I don't know if that helps or if you had to be in the layoff situation.
Good. You have mentioned a couple of topics here, both like touching hiring and budget. And I don't know if you want to touch the topic of layoff because you have lived layoffs.
No,
Then
the lucky ones.
We don't do some layoff in Mano Mano because we have some. When I build the team, I would like to have not only 100% of the people internally in Mano Mano, and I'm using some. Sorry, Jerome. I'm using some contractors. And if I have to reduce my workforce, I will start to reduce my workforce from the contractors. It's because we try to always to play with the workforce, and we can reduce, we can scale, we can reduce. Is why it's very important to use some contractors sometimes.
Okay, so you use more like a fixed workforce, liquid workforce, and you can use this liquid workforce to navigate the uncertainty and put more and less depending on the moment.
Yeah, the year before we are using some contractors because we need some workforce, but now when we are in the situation to be more stable, and if we want to reduce our workforce, we will start to reduce the contractors.
Good. Okay. So is the first one affected in this case? Okay.
Yeah, I want to add, like, for us, it was introducing variables because it's something that's not very popular, and it really created a lot of stress on the organization. But it's also a measure where you can like insure yourself or hedge yourself against shit hitting the fan, and then you kind of have a part of the costs that are variable instead of being fixed, and that basically allows you to navigate through turbulent times. So.
But it's not because the contractor we are not human. we try to do the best to explain, to share, because at the end the contractor work with us and close to the team, and it's like inside the company, and we want to do the smooth action to do the very in the good way.
Good. Yeah, not having second-class citizens into the
Exactly.
team, making differences. Yeah. So, Domingo, about dealing with limited budget, that was the topic that Paul brought here. What to cut, where to reduce, and how to do it.
Okay, so as I said before, first thing it's identify which are the top priorities for the company, and sometimes it is not easy because if you ask anyone will answer that their thing is the top priority. So it always happens. So I think this is the first exercise, and you need to do that, and then make sure that everyone understands why these things are top priority and what we need to focus on this. And here a risk of putting or having this budget cut or this reduction on capacity is like just focus on the short term and stop thinking about long term, as you said before, or stop innovation because we want just to focus on hitting the numbers. And this is like these are decisions that are going to impact you maybe not in the next 6 months, but maybe next year. Then you are in a big trouble. So it's like identify the top priorities, but not stop doing the innovation, the making sure that what you are doing is scalable, that you can be supporting the business in 1 year, 2 years, no? The sustainable IT or how you are building the product. So for me, that's the most important part that you need to, as a CTPO, no, make sure that these things are happening and you are not just focusing on what's going to happen in the next 3-6 months, because then you can be in a big trouble in the future.
Okay, good. Stefan, you want to add something here?
Yes. First is educate the business. Because when you are working in the scale-up, the business wants a lot of things. And not completely different. You can go to do some fulfillment, marketing, blah blah blah. And first thing is that in Mano we work by quarters. We define the strategic OKR for each quarters. And last year we have 10 strategic OKR. This year we have only 3 strategic OKR. We want to reduce the strategy to be focused on, to be pragmatic, to focus on which OKR has a big impact for the business with less effort. This is why we are working on this, and we define a list of only 3 strategic OKR. We have some second level of OKR or some team, but we want the team to focus. This is the first one. But when you do this, we have to think about your organization, because in Mano we have an organization based on feature team, based on domain, functional domain. You have some feature team dedicated for each domain, and if we focus all the company, all the tech team on the 2 or 3 OKR, we need some feature team more adaptable to do other domain. We have to move to feature team to squad, and we have to review all our organization to be more flexible.
Good. And this question is for Pau, because from your notes I got that it seems that growing at all cost era is over, right? Right now the paradigm it's more about profitability, it's less about growth, at least just user growth. It has to come with money, sales growth, and going towards profitability. So in your case, how are you adapting to this paradigm with concrete examples? You were concrete before, but maybe you can give another take on that.
Yeah. So I mean, just to summarize, because I think maybe many people don't know this switch of growth over profitability, but mostly, I mean, this mostly affects you if you need financing. So if you're a company that are not profitable, then of course you have to go to the markets and you have to ask for money, and then people who give you money in exchange of something. And until now it was growth. So basically, growing is really difficult. Like people think, oh, you just throw money at the problem and you grow. It's not that easy. So actually, like investors were like valuing the capacity of growing fast and being able to make this machine that grows fast. But now, of course, like things are more conservative. So people, like investors especially, but also public markets the same, they value more that this machine is efficient. So you put €1 and €2 come out instead of 0.5. No? So that's important. That being said, for us, it's a bit different because I mean we have different markets and each one of the markets have different go-to-market ratios. So it's a bit like our main cost of vendor is like mostly the go-to-market. Let's say that product development are kind of fixed costs, but in our case it was mostly, I would say, the opposite of what he said. You said like educate the business. I say like you have to bring the business to the management, to the middle management. So I try to teach all the directors, all the managers how to read the P&L, how to assign the cost, how to understand exactly what revenue do they get from the features they're building. And this is something that's very difficult, but it's also quite rewarding because then people, and I think it to a variable, they understand, okay, that's how I impact the business. This is what my work impacts. So it gives that accountability that I think in times of high growth usually is missing. People are just like building things and hoping for the best. But this way you can build accountability with your direct reports.
Thank you, Pau. In this case, you were preventing this to happen.
Yeah.
What about fundraising in these times? Like people, companies, any recommendations to those organizations that are now, because of any reason, looking for money? Maybe Domingo can answer here.
Luckily, we are not in that situation, but I guess that as he was mentioning, it's so that you can have this sustainable growth in the future. Because for me, it's the only way that you can convince this kind of investors. So it's showing that your processes end to end are efficient and you get the maximum amount of value or return value for the money that you put. And before, it's like what he said, is like we just wanted to see growth at the end of the year. And now we want to see that this company can have sustainable growth in 3 to 5 years. And that I think that it's what you need to show to the possible investors. And it's not only in product and tech, it's in the whole company end to end. All the customer journey needs to be efficient and it needs to be optimized to make sure that this is happening.
Good. So the pitch deck is changing, right? A bit.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. And how can you make the company not only product and tech, but how from product and tech you can make the whole company more efficient? How do you drive that change?
I'm right now in the middle of this, and at the end, it's automation. It's key, and then you can automate anything or any part of the organization will be more easily or more costly or less complicated, more or less complicated. But at the end, is make sure that you can do simplifying more things with less resources or less capacity needed. And at the end, as I said, you can do that when you talk about marketing, when you talk about product development, when you talk about managing your portfolio, anything that you are doing, finance, anything that you're doing in your company, try to put automation or processes that are simple and faster to make sure that you can deal with the same amount of people, you can manage more information or more processes, or we can call it any name, but at the end, it's for me the only way to achieve that.
Very good. So I guess most of you are working in tech product. I would love to know if you have found out your company has communicated that there is now a stronger focus or a stronger effort on automating things and making the processes more efficient in all the areas in the organization. Have you heard about that? Okay, it's not even, I would say, 20% of the audience. Okay, thank you. So there is one thing here that we are one day ahead of one of the, I would say, is one of the biggest events of the year, at least for me, which is this future of work from Microsoft. They have been doing from the pandemic, like trying to envision the future of work. The topic was remote work a year ago. And right now is the future of work with AI, and it's just tomorrow. So I guess you will get very interesting insights about what Domingo was bringing. Like you can automate nearly everything. You can make the processes much more seamless, much smoother, not only with the help of automation tools, but also now with the rise of AI tools. It's like an extra power you have. And here it seems like Microsoft is winning the war, at least in the first steps. against maybe Google, but they will uncover what they are working on right now and how they can help and how they envision this future of work where AI is present not only for marketing or content topics, but in all the areas of the organization, from sales to just anyone writing a single email, whatever. Okay, so just wanted to make sure that this was coming just in time. Other than that, I have another question now, going from budget to more like hiring. And before that, can you hear us well in the background? It's good? Okay. So now related to more like, I wouldn't say hiring, I would say talent. Is talent acquisition, but later on is talent retention. I would say better like fidelity more than retention. It's about talent development. We will talk about that in a minute. But now with the changes in the hiring market, I would say more professionals in the market. What has changed in recent months for you? Stefan, maybe you can start here.
I don't see a lot of change during the last few months. It's true we continue to recruit some good profile, and always in Mano, since I joined Mano, we try to always address a good profile, to recruit a good profile, and I didn't see a lot of change. It's true. The only thing is, before to find a good profile, maybe we have to go very far of our office, and we have to propose a remote. And now we can find some profile more close to us. And but at this moment, maybe in the future, we will see the difference, because I read some article about the salary will decrease, and we have some would be better for us. But actually, no, we don't. I don't see a lot of change.
Okay. Before switching, how can you take advantage of the market right now? Even if not a lot of things have changed for you, how can you take advantage if you are now hiring, or anyone here that maybe is the opportunity for them to hire? How you can take advantage of that?
First of all, we want to keep our talents internally. This is the first thing, because we will not hire a lot of people in the futures. Not that we did, during the last 4 years, we moved to 100 people in tech team to 450, and we grow a lot, and now we are more stable, and maybe we'll do some backfill for the future. For me, the first is we want to keep our talent, because this is very important. This is why during this time, okay, the economic situation is not good, but I want the team continue to learn in Mano, continue to grow in Mano, to continue to share the knowledge with others, to go to the conference to learn about the peers and the other company. Yes, we could take an advantage to hire some new people, because when we see a lot of people will be in the markets. But we will do this when we want to not to recruit because of this advantage. We want to recruit if we need some people.
Thank you. What are key elements for you? 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Key elements today to attract talented engineers.
Okay. First, I'm gonna say, like, my experience is different. Like, for us, it has been a gigantic change. Like, we do receive at least once a week Excel file with names of people who are gonna be laid off. So I don't know. Like, I think maybe one of them is actually to build the network, like to be present on the ecosystem. I think the more present you are on the ecosystem, then there's this kind of unspoken rule that companies will help each other. And if a company needs to lay off people, they will contact the companies they are friends with, and we would receive these candidates beforehand. So that really accelerates, because it's kind of like a soft referral. So it's like a friend company that says, hey, look, I'm going through hard times, and I have to let go these people. I really recommend this person for this reason, whatever. So this kind of accelerates, and this has been happening quite more. It is true that we are remote, and that means that our scope is much bigger. So it's not just regional. So I think this is why we got a bit more the effects amplified in our case. On the other hand, I really think I don't know if I'm going to say three, but whatever I'm going to say. So I think treating your company as a product, I think that helps a lot as a mentality. So I perceive like I'm building a product. So like working at Factorial, it's a product, no? And it has a funnel, it has a go-to-market motion. You have a way to attract, you have a way to basically make the candidates go through a funnel. You have a pitch. You understand which selling points work and which don't. You know what the competitors are offering. So in the end, it's you just go into a market and you're like showing something, and a candidate has different options, and they have to feel attracted to your company. So I like to think this way, and all the time I'm questioning, maybe now less than before. Like this was extremely critical in the beginning because we didn't have any employee branding. We were no one, and we had to really nail that. And but I'm constantly asking myself, like what are the candidates falling? Why are we not hiring enough? Like looking at the data. So yeah, it's not three, but I would say build a network and treat your company as a product.
Okay, you have your own candidate employee journey as you have for customers.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, who is the product manager for that candidate journey?
I'm the product manager.
Good.
But I'm not the CPDO.
Yeah. You need to ask for permission, maybe.
But,
Okay, so let's talk about perks. You need to have these key elements to attract talent, but on top of that, perks are always there. Has been for granted for years here. How have that changed, Domingo?
I wanted to add one thing to his comments at the end, and it's more in HR perspective. But I think one thing that helps you on the talent attraction and retention, and nowadays is changing. It's showing the purpose of the company. This company have a purpose. It's really nice words, no, but it's I want to make a better world, and people is looking for that. No, I want to have an impact on what's happening. I want to build something good for the people. I think that helps you to attract if you can really explain and sell your vision, your mission, and of course if your salaries are aligned with the market, let's say. I think these things could be the game changer. No, this mission and then the perks what you are offering apart from the salary. It's true, and this is changing as well because with the remote, no, it's not. No, you have free coffee, free breakfast, free things in the office. Yeah, but I'm not going to the office. So maybe before was more important not to have these kind of things. Right now you need to look for other options. And the idea is, I think, as I said, it's more on the people part of the company, but it's always look for things that will help your employees to have a better maybe conciliation. Now when you talk about the stress, at some point during the pandemic, mental health was super important, offer a lot of things to make sure that the people was engaged. So I would say there are plenty of things that play a key role when your salaries are average to make sure that people wants to come to your company. So we can discuss a lot of things, but I think that's
Yeah.
the game changer.
Yeah, so adding a new key element. Stefan, do you have any kind of other key element that can help you attract and retain the talent?
It's what I say and you say, and free coffee, free food, etc. It's out. Now, what is important is, I think, for the talent, and especially in the technology part, is learning. And for me, I take the decision some years ago to give time to the team to learn some new things, completely different of what they are doing. The name is Crafternoon. It's a Thursday afternoon. All the team could do what they want and do some workshop. Sometimes is linked with their job, but sometimes not. And I think if we give the opportunity to the team to learn, to grow, and we could attract the talent, we have to do this internally, because what you do internally, outside you can see the impact. And we do some employer branding and like like you, but at the end, for me, it's more important is internally what we are doing is true, it's not fake, and this is why we give some time to learn, and we share with the other developer, other company what we are doing, etc. etc. And I think it is why we could attract some talent. And true, during this current time is not easy, but we have to keep time to learn and to do some innovation. Not a lot, but a part of innovation, technology innovation, some transformation, because at the end, if you have a team just only manage the technical debts, you are sure the people will leave the company. This is why, and our job in terms of head of tech, head of tech or CTPO or head of tech, is how I find the trade-off between the project I have to do or the features I have to deliver for the business and create big impact, and managing the platform to be sure we don't have a lot of technical debt and just solve the bugs, and at the end we lose the people. But it's not easy to do to find the trade-off.
Good. So you come for the vision, you keep for the growth, right? For the development. Good.
And I have something to add. It's a contrarian opinion, but I'm here for the headline. So maybe that's the third point that I was missing. So one thing that we did early on in Factorial, and some people are a bit surprised about it, is that we used very little recruiters. Like we had one recruiter, now we have one recruiter as well. We grow from one developer to 150. So like for us, it was very important to not use recruiters. Like we use one, but like as minimum as possible. Because recruiters are like drug, like once you start using drugs, then you need more drugs, and then you start blaming, and then everything falls into the recruiters. So for us, it was really important to give that accountability to engineering managers. And also, I think that helped as well the process, because I think a lot of developers dread a little bit talking to HR, and they prefer to talk to someone who is technical and they sympathize more. So one advice that it's also cost reduction. So I think with the previous one, it's maybe reduce your drug dependency with recruiters, especially external, but internals also. I think that's an advice or contrary opinion that may be helpful for you.
Good. Let's try if it's a contrary opinion or not. Who here prefers to talk first directly the first call with someone technical like a CTO, engineering manager, or an HR? Technical person first?
You all hide it.
No. Okay, you have some supporters right now. You will not get punched. Good. So let me see if my last image is related to that topic of talent development, and with that, yeah. So impact of layoffs on perceptions of employee development, the topic that Stefan was talking about, and the most affected topic is about career opportunity. So when there is layoffs in the company, what the people first perceive is that the career growth opportunities are going to fade. And that's one of the reasons why they don't keep engaged and they start looking for other opportunities. The next one is that they feel the company is not going to be contributing to development anymore, or at least it's going to be reduced, right? So maybe there is less budget, or the budget now has way too more difficult ways to be approved or whatever, or opportunities to develop skills that I would say has to do with what you were talking about. Like you now need to focus on what matters, and sometimes if it's not profitability, which normally means doing what we know how to do to make more money instead of R&D, it could be just refactoring what we do to make it more efficient, or it's about working on internal tools, but at the end, maybe you are not developing new skills or working on new technologies, as maybe is the case when you have these Friday afternoons where you have 20% of the time, like in Google, to work on your own projects. You have new projects coming in because you are in growth stage, a lot of things in the backlog to be completed, and you can play around with new technologies. So how do you feel about these topics? How can you try to keep employee development according to the expectations, and not making your employees feeling that what was for granted once when they were hired now is being removed? Whoever.
So I'm quite aligned with what he said. At the end, it's our job is put the environment and the context to ensure that this is happening. So I mean, this having some time for self-learning, for improvement, making sure that this time is not eaten by the day-to-day, no, making sure that we defend that, and also always make sure that there is enough budget or at least time for going to conference, going to maybe learn new things. So at the end, we need to help the team, no, that these things stay for these times instead of okay, it's a complicated time. Let's focus only on delivery, and we forget that. So our job is make sure that that was granted, even when we have these tough times. We keep that space, that room, that small budget if possible, but at least time for people to go to these places. So it's the only thing that we can do to respect the agreements, let's say, even in these tough situations.
Thank you. Someone else?
I don't know, it's because the tech team of Manolo is big, not big, but yes, it's a perception, because for me, in this moment, we have a lot of opportunity to learn something new. We are doing this in Mano Mano. For example, we have some front-end React developers, and we do some training to learn from React Native for our application. Instead to hire a new developer to do the React Native, we prefer to train the people to learn a new language. We try to do this for the different profile and create more not specific or dedicated developer for one language, but open the mindset to learn another language. And this is why we never stop to learn in the tech team. And it's the same for what we are doing now. Is we want to have more feature team, squad team, to work on the different functional domain, not to be dedicated on one domain, and they will learn about the business. They will learn about new things, and this is why it is important to have some people more adaptable. This is important. The second thing about career opportunity, I think, in this moment we have some people who will leave the company, maybe for different reasons. And if you are in the company at a good moment, you could have the opportunity to grow and to take a new position. This is why I think it's not because we are in the economic situation not good. Our team is not static, and the technology team is not static. But always we have to think about how we can adapt the team, organization, platform, process, and always we have to think. And with always an opportunity to grow.
Good. Adaptability is key, one of the key skills right now. Paul, you want to add something?
I mean, I think it's a very difficult topic, like career progression in general. I'm reaching the conclusion that it may be impossible to solve, because on one end, the people need the clarity, they demand, I need to understand what are the ladders, what progression looks like, and what does it take to make this progression. But on the other hand, if you structure it a lot, then it becomes like a role play. It becomes like people overfit. Like, hey, you told me I have to do code review. I did 100 code reviews. And people overfit to the description of what you expect on each ladder, and then they stop thinking about the business, and they stop thinking about things that are common sense. So there's this tension of giving clarity, but on the end, you know that there's a manager that needs to manage that career progression. So for me, this is kind of like, we have both, like we have a career path that kind of informs how it looks like, so it gives clarity and gives people peace of mind about how it looks. They have references inside the company, so they understand, okay, this is what the staff looks like, and this is what they do, and it more or less matches the thing. But on the end of the day, it's basically working with the directors and helping the directors work with the managers, that they have to constantly ask themselves, what is this person expectation, and what's their current status, and what are we working to fill that gap? And that's a super difficult conversation, and many people are not really willing to have this conversation, because sometimes we expect a lot and they are under delivering, and no one wants to bring the bad news. But I think this is what is more important for making people understand how they can progress and what opportunities are there for them.
Okay, thank you. We are going to have the last two questions because a bit like of summary. and it's about your role. So, and your role. So, has the role of the leader changed in any way recently? Have you seen like there is new expectations towards this role? And I would love to tackle it from two perspectives. First, CTO, CTPO director, and then maybe going one level down to middle management. What you are expecting in this case as CTOs, CTPOs from your management teams.
So I can start with you one. So from my perspective, the role is the same that I've been experiencing in the last years. The only thing is that the situation is changing, but as you were mentioning before, it's always a cycle. So you have sometimes that things are better, let's say, and in this context, and sometimes are then more, let's say, more complicated. But for me, the role is the same. At the end, you need to with the team. You need to make sure that things are happening, that you protect the team, that you define clear expectations with your team, that you follow up. So I would say that the role itself is the same, but the only thing is you need to adapt to the new situation. But overall, for me, managing the team, empowering the team, delegating the things, clear expectations, this is not changing. This is for me, it's happening the same way as before.
But expectation from C-level, for example, in terms of maybe efficiency, budget control, these kind of things are now maybe more prominently on the table.
Yes, for sure. But as I said, it's like what 2 years was. We need to grow and we need to have a 30% growth year over year. Now it's like okay, we need to have a sustainable growth and we need to control the EBITDA. Or we need to, but at the end, it's left the focus on the company, what is changing. But the way that you manage the team and you manage the communication, for me, it's the same. The only thing that could change is the focus, or as he was mentioning, the OKRs or the number of OKRs that you are looking at. But it's just that it's just focusing. It changes the focus of the company, but the way of managing, I think it's for me it's more or less the same.
Okay, good. Maybe you can add something else.
I want to be very honest. When we are in the situation to grow, it's easy. It's easy to manage a team when you have to hire a lot of people. If we have some lack of efficiency, don't worry, I will hire some new people, etc., etc. And this situation is why we need some real leader, because when we have to apply some cost control, when we have to change a little bit the way of working to be more efficient, and want to be sure my leadership team is aligned with the strategy of the company and that's what we want to do, and to be sure to share the information with the team. This is why it's very important to have now the leadership team. The leadership is very important in this kind of situation. Not when we grow. Yes, we need some leader to give some vision about where we want to go in terms of a platform organization. But in this situation, we have to be to reinforce some message with the developers to keep the developer engaged, or not only the developer, all the team engaged, etc., etc. And this is why it's very important to have a leaders with a strong drive and strong leadership.
Oh, you want to add something from the CTO perspective, moving down to the management?
Yeah, well, so like I have two hats, no? I'm CTO, but I'm also founder. And for me, the last years I've been, I think more weight is going towards the founder hat because the company is bigger and there's like more entropy and basically it's expected from me to not only focus on technology but also like to solve problems across the board. That being said, like I've been doing this job for 17 years, like the CTO role, but it's the first time I'm in this stage. Like most of all the companies that I've been before, they failed. So I was not very successful CTO until now. My CV was not great, but it's the first time I'm at this stage. So basically, every single thing is new. Like every day I'm coming to the office, I face new challenges. And I think that's actually a blessing, because when you know something, you're expected to solve it. But when you don't know, then whenever someone brings you a problem, you can just tell them like, I don't know, I've never seen this before. Can you solve it? So basically, what I expect from my team is that I do a lot of mirroring, and I basically like try to ask them like just figure out yourself, and then I'm going to learn, and I hope next time I will do the pattern matching, and I will have already a solution. So yeah, for me that's more of a blessing than anything else.
Good. What about your managers?
well, I expect to solve the things that I don't know.
Very good. Good. That's it. That's it.
it.
Domingo?
Yeah, and it's aligned with that. So for me, one of the key things when you are in this position and also for keep growing, is to have a team with you that you can really trust and delegate and you can really learn from them. And for me, the key thing is have a strong team with you because they are more expert than you in their field. So you need to trust them, you need to learn from them and as you were saying, it's a learning, continuous learning for everyone. So the only way for me to be able to keep growing is my team keep growing and the team keeps growing. So it's a matter of, for me, it's putting this culture of empowering, trust, and delegation, and leading by example. No? If I do that, I can ask my team to do that, not micromanagement, not this kind of thing. So for me, it's the only way to really be able to manage big teams. It's just empower your team and delegate on them and trust them. So it's the only way.
So the same.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the same. Yeah.
What is Pau doing is just putting the phrase to make the delegation as effective as possible. I don't know.
Exactly.
Look for your
I
own way.
actually don't.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Stefan? Did you finish?
More or less the same.
Okay.
No, but it's true. Sometimes we feel alone, and like your CTPO or like CTO, what you want, because we have to take some decision, and it's true because we have some information. It's okay, what I have to do now. And when we have very good leadership team, it's easier to do this because we could have a very transparent discussion, and we could help them. We could ask them some advice and take the decision together. And after, it's more easy to deep dive the information inside the team because everybody on the leadership team is aligned with the decision, and it's easier after to do this.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So we are reaching the end. Is there any questions? One? Only one? Two?
I can have two.
Very good. Okay. So we will finish before the questions. We are going to finish with 3 tips. So kind of a summary of the session. If you want to give like 3 tips in 1 minute to the audience, so they get all the learning concentrated in just 3 minutes, we can start a final round with some of those tips.
Well, I could start. 3 tips. I
Yeah.
know you asked me this since 2 weeks.
Yes. I can tell you
We could say this well.
the first word, and you continue.
No. 3 tips. First is focus. In this situation, we focus on the topic and features with a big impact for the business because and be pragmatic. Sometimes we think about something new like Meta. No. Stay here and create an impact for the business. The second topic is I would say agile, but I don't like this word. Adaptable. As you know, the company changed. We move to growth, profitability, and we have to adapt our organization. It's not the same, an organization to grow and an organization to be profitable. The same for the process. We speak about efficiency. I would say we are working now on the lean, how we can lean the process, the business process, and the dev process. And we are working on it to be more efficient, and the platform. And the last point is about what I wrote is don't lose our values. And when I joined Manuano, I would like to implement, to set up a values for the technology, create a very strong tech team. And it's not because we are not in the good situation, it's not good, we have to lose our values. This is key for keep the team engaged. This is why we have values about knowledge, learning, board, ingenious is the value of Manuano and the tech team, and we want to keep this in this moment.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you nailed it. They were here. Domingo.
Yeah. So my first one we already discussed is creating a team, a leadership team with you, and this empowering and delegation, I think for me it's key, and I will always try to do it in the different positions. So we discussed that, but it was one of my points. I think another thing that I think works better in or works well in this situation, but works always, is also to foster collaboration, and not only in product and tech, but also with the rest of the company. So break the silos, make sure that people collaborate, that product and tech are not close to business. Business understands the impact of the things that we are doing, the cost, and these kind of things. And for me, doing that, you have a lot of benefits, but it's also efficiency. You can adapt to or react to market changes, to customer behavior. So at the end, fostering this collaboration is making sure that you can say lean, agile, but at the end, it's making sure that when the world changes, and it happens every week, you can react fast. If you don't have this collaboration and this communication, it's more complicated. And the last one is that embrace everything. For me, and I said at the beginning, it's also communication, but also at all levels. Communicate to the team's strategy, the teams communicate with themselves, communicate with the rest of the organization. So I guess that it includes everything, but for me, if I need to ask, I always say like 3 tips. I will go for these 3.
Thank you, Domingo. And Pau, last but not least.
Yeah, I hope I remember. So for one, I said something about efficiency, but I would phrase it because we talk about efficiency, and I think it's a bit boring. So I would say I think like embracing constraints, you know? Because I mean sometimes when you have constraints, you feel like, oh, I don't have so much freedom. But I think actually constraints are amazing, and as a leader, the worst thing that can happen is that you have a white canvas, not that you have like infinite options. So now like you can be more rigid, you have deadlines, you have budgets, you have things, and then the teams actually become quite creative, and they find out a lot of crap that was under the carpet, because suddenly you say the carpet must be smaller, and then suddenly you discover, okay, that it was full of dead bodies under the carpet. So I think constraints are fantastic, so embrace them and make the team love them. I think they're great, and this is a good time to bring that on the table. Second, I said about the treat the organization as a product, so I already mentioned it. So like it's the same, like you're like selling a product, so you have to completely like all the time iterate on it and trying to see whether that product sticks or not. And last, and I think this is very important because many people mention about delegation, trust, and so on. But I think there's the other side of the coin that I think it's most important, and I think a lot of managers have fear of micromanagement. So that fear of micromanagement makes them be hands off. And I think on this moment is a good moment to remember that managing, it's not just taking care of people, it's not just nurturing, it's not just about like making a happy family. It's more about reaching objectives, and that people need to feel accountable for them. And this is why you hire them. If not, you don't need them. So I think it's important to send that message and to make very clear what the role of the manager is, and it's the only way to, I think, to achieve what you want to achieve.
Very good. This is the end. Thank you very much.